Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Seth Julian broadcasting here with today's daily update. Um, we want to talk about the continuing slide in the markets today. It seems to be this is a picture of the Amsterdam Stock Index. It's largely identical everywhere else. On the CAC, on the DAX, you see it's almost identical. This is an hourly chart. It's bad news everywhere. And what I want to, and of course, we'll take a quick look at oil because that's our favorite equity, our favorite commodity these days. It will reach God, it'll reach $2 a barrel at the rate we're going now. But we'll talk about oil in a minute. I want to talk about the macroeconomics, and I want to give you some insight to give to your clients as to the insanity that's taking place. What we see and what we hear are unprecedented amounts of debt, not cash, but debt that are being thrown at this problem. Now, whether it's effective, whether it's going to do anything, whether it's even smart at all, history will only tell us. My suspicion is it's not likely. My suspicion is that, and all of our suspicion here at the shop is that as the virus takes its natural course, the recovery will be commensurate with the recession of the viral victims. But nonetheless, the governments have to be seen to be doing something. It's an election cycle in the United States, so sending every voter or every potential voter $1,000 check certainly isn't going to hurt. But one thing that I want to emphasize here is that there's no problem with the debt. People say, well, how are we going to get out of it? These are not households, okay? One of the major differences between macroeconomics or government economics and microeconomics is the ability to print money out of thin air. That's what the governments of the world can and will do. And by debasing their currencies, and this is an ancient policy and practice by the sovereignty, the fiat governments, the issuing currencies. They've been substituting copper and nickel for gold in their coinage for a million years, for as long as there's been coinage. Inflation is just a paper version of that. And if you owe 1,000 and inflation is running at 10%, you effectively only have to pay back 900. So when you're issuing bonds to the tune of trillions of dollars, all of the Europeans, and they're outdoing each other, they're falling all over each other to outspend. The United States kicked in for $1 trillion. The British are in for 350 billion. The ECB came in and said they'll do whatever it takes. They apparently are much less gun shy. They'll do whatever they want because they need the inflation. We've been talking about this for some time now, that inflation is low, it's below target. Nobody really fully understands why that's bad. And let's put a sharp point on this. Inflation is crucial for one singular reason: it holds back deflation. Inflation is a pernicious, miserable affliction economically. It can make you mentally insane. But what's worse is deflation. And if you want any proof of that, just take a look at the Chinese economy and its performance over the last 30 years. There's very little a society can do to encourage itself to spend when the prevailing price levels are falling, and if you delay your purchase, it'll be cheaper. So if you aggregate that decision process across an entire economy, why buy today? I'll buy tomorrow. And so sales it's practically impossible to encourage anything. There are very few, if any at all, tools in the stimulus package that central bankers and even the fiscal side can do to wage in order to pump things up, well, when that's the prevailing mood. And so you need the inflation to keep deflation away. And so finally, since 2007, inflation hasn't risen. They keep lowering their interest rates. There's nowhere for them to go. They're in a corner. This will get them out of the corner. And so don't be put off by the I don't know, 10 to the 9th, 10 to the 12th power kind of numbers here. Focus on the fact that it will come back. The economies will come back. This is not a war. This is something that will recover. It's got a natural course to it. From what I've been gathering, and take our word for it, we've been reading obsessively about this worldwide for days, for weeks now. As It'll probably calm down as summer wear comes into play in the northern hemisphere. The fear is that it won't be suppressed sufficiently, and that come winter next year it'll rebound. But assuming that does, even if that does happen, we should have a vaccine by then. Whether we'll have 8.2 billion doses is another question. But in any event, it's not a war. It's all recoverable, aside from the people who fall victim to it. But even that, the numbers seem large. They're not so large when you compare them to vehicular accidents, death, for example. I hate to sound so grim, but this is a statistics game, not an emotion game. Anyway, rest assured, we're going to come back. There's plenty of golden lining here. So it's the same idea. Encourage your clients to be brave. This is a rare opportunity. If they want to participate, they must participate because the opportunities are so fantastic. Get them in, talk them past the high cost of trading because the costs are high, the spreads are enormous, but the profit potential is literally unprecedented. Nobody alive today has seen these opportunities. And if these people want to gain a little glory out of this, they got to trade and encourage them. Tell them to be brave. Tell them that there are huge opportunities out there that they must exploit because once it reverses, it's going to be a race to the top, and it'll be much steeper. No, it'll be steep. I won't say much steeper. It'll be steep, and you want to be in. You want to be trading the short side, and when it reverses, to trade the long side. That's how to clean up in this. You don't have to trade all the assets. You can just trade one asset, but unprecedented opportunities, ladies and gentlemen. So make money today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.